I'm going to cry, so I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to cry and have tissues, so if you need any, just, do this, raise your hand, and I'm watching the clock. And I have to say thank you to Brian. This has been an extraordinary experience for me being in St. Luke's of the Mountains Episcopal Church. This is the culmination right now of a very long process, many years. And I'm glad you're all sitting down because I have a confession to make, and it's going to shock you a little bit, so, take a deep breath. Good morning, my name's Holly, and I'm a Christian. And I know, some of you I know from a 12-step program, and those people were expecting me to say, hi, I'm Holly, I'm an alcoholic. That's usually how I identify myself in big gatherings like this. But today is different. Today is the day I come out of the closet, and I come out as a flaming Christian. So I know some of you, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow. That's okay. I'll give you all the time you need to process. I love you no matter what, and I understand if you need space for that. My mother has known about this for quite some time. She's still trying to figure out what it was she did to me as a child that would make me embrace this lifestyle. So, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. And one of the great things about U2 is that they are unabashedly Christian. And I was doing a lot of research for this sermon, this talk this morning, and I learned a lot about U2. And they're fearless, and they're brazen, and they're rebellious in their Christianity. And they spend their life and their ministry bringing to light the injustice of the world, And they also aren't afraid to talk about their fear and their doubt and their anguish. And I think a lot of that is lost when we come to church. We think we have no doubt. But I found at this place, St. Luke's of the Mountains Episcopal Church, you can doubt here, and we can talk about it, and it's okay. So, but the thing that happened to them, and they did have an extraordinary journey, and in 1982, Bono and The Edge and Larry, who is the drummer, they belonged to a very charismatic Christian group called Shalom. And as the group got more cohesive, it became more orthodox, more rigid, and they told Bono and The Edge that your rock and roll lifestyle does not jive with your life as a Christian. And Bono and The Edge were in deep conflict about that. And The Edge actually quit the band first, and Bono did too. They didn't know, how am I going to live this Christian life on the one hand, and how can I marry these two worlds, this very materialistic world where drugs, alcohol, rock and roll, fame, ego, all of that with what I believe Christ is calling me to do. Well, you know how that worked out, right? They quit not for very long. Bono says one of the things that he finds most challenging is shattering that glass wall. That glass wall is that what we call the barrier, the liminal space. It's that edge between what is sacred and what is holy. And they meld, and they are messy, and they fall back and forth into one another, into each other all the time. And as human beings, we are always trying to keep it separate. And Christ says, no, you don't need to keep it separate. So this is what the gospel story is about. For me, this is, I think it's a great story. And this is the great thing. I have some props. I was an actress before this moment, and so props are very helpful to me. This is the best time to be a Christian, actually, because there's this fabulous hot pink, whatever this is, material. I don't know what it is. Hot pink Bibles. And neoprene, like a wetsuit. And it's the Message, and it's by Eugene Peterson. And what he did was translate the scriptures into everyday language. This is one of Bono's favorite translations of scripture to read. So that's where our gospel story came from. That's the translation this morning. This is my other prop. Okay, it's going on my car, so you know. My life is on the back of my car. So just in case you were wondering what kind of Christian I was. Yeah. And I'll get back to that. So the gospel story. So Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, we don't know mother of James, as she would have been known because Jesus was dead at that point. So she would have been the mother of James, no longer the mother of Jesus. So Mary Magdalene and Mary, they've gone through Good Friday. The death of brutal, horrifying death of their friend, their teacher, their rabbi, their healer. So they're mourning. Saturday's gone by. Matthew Duncan, bring me that Bible, please. I can never tell them apart because they're twins. Matthew I can usually recognize because he has a mohawk. Mohawk Matthew. But I don't know which one's which today. So, sorry. Okay, so so the two Marys go to the tomb, and this extraordinary thing happens, right? This angel, who I decided is the Nathan Lane of all angels. You know, he's aglow in white light and robes, and there's an earthquake, and he rolls the boulder away, and he sits on the boulder, which I think is really funny. So here's Nathan, the angel, sitting on the boulder, and the men, of course, fall over in fear, which is why the women have the babies, because the women are not afraid, right? They stand up. They might be a little, they're a little taken aback. And the angel says, well, check it out, you know. Jesus isn't here. What happened, what he said, what happened. He was raised. Now go, tell the disciples, tell the other men, you're commissioned to go. So the two Marys, in excitement, and they're probably a little freaked out, they run to go tell the other disciples. And Jesus appears to them. And Mary Magdalene falls to the feet of Jesus. And Jesus says, don't hold on too tightly like that. Don't be afraid like that. I'll be there. I'll meet you in Galilee. It's okay. So don't hold on too tightly. Don't be afraid. I'll be there. So extraordinary. The Romans killed Jesus in the most brutal, humiliating way that they could have. And I stumbled upon this guy's website because I just go through religious blogs and theological blogs, and he's a theologian, and his name is David Ewart. I actually had to email him and said, how do you pronounce your name? Ewart, like Stewart. And he says they didn't want to just kill Jesus' body, the Romans. They didn't want to just destroy his body. They wanted to destroy what Jesus lived for, what Jesus did, his actions and his deeds. And it didn't succeed. What resurrected that day for Mary Magdalene and all the disciples and all of those who are declaring themselves Christians afterwards were the words and deeds of Jesus Christ. So that was truly extraordinary. And that breaking in of that liminal space for me is that working on being a human being, living and acting and participating as a follower of Christ in the world, which is hard, so difficult. So I didn't have an ending, and I emailed my writer friend, Tori, and I emailed her, and I said, I don't have an ending for this. And the reality is because it's not for me. This moment now, and when I close, is only just the beginning for my walk with Christ. And it's always an extraordinary thing. And because I didn't have an ending, and God always works for me in the last minute. You know what I mean? I want to be prepared. I want to be, I'm a procrastinator. And God is never like when I need an ending. Well, this morning, I was on Facebook, and my friend, because God is on Facebook. Don't kid yourself. That is part of that marrying the holy and the sacred. So I was on Facebook this morning, and my friend Trip Fuller, and if you go on Facebook, I did forward this, and he made a movie, and he talked about the resurrection. Why is it important to have the resurrection? Why is that important for us? And it's important because it's what Paul said, which is Christ is the new fruit of all creation. So it's a new creation. It's the new fruit of the new creation, and every day is new. And this is the hope when we live in such a world that's broken and fearful and ugly and messy, you know. So this is what Tripp said, and I said, oh, that's me. Tripp said, being a Christian means I am a person of not what is actual, but what is possible. And that's what this story, this gospel story means to me. It's not just about this moment, but it's about every possible moment after this. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.